Oh yeah, I see the stream. It's currently blank. Do you not have one of those screens yet that's like start up soon? Oh, it's just loaded. It was blank, but now it's not. I'm sorry. Yeah? Like your voice was that time. Ah, weird. Hold up. Hold up. Let me mute you, and then let me listen to the music. It still sounds like there's two of them. It'll be one of the audio sources. What was it last time? I swear it was one of the audio sources. Yeah.
Hello, and welcome to the Wile Prince Paints. How is everyone doing? Sorry again, slightly delayed. I've had a bit of a nightmare in the setup, but all is well now. Hopefully, we've got a good angle. Again, so this stream, as ever, is a bit of a work in progress. Still working on finding the best setup for it, which is why it was slightly late. But I think I found, again, it's slightly different to last time, a different angle, and hopefully this time it'll make it slightly easier for me to paint. Let's just switch this light on. Oh, that's much better. Turn it down a fraction. There we go. We got a bit more illumination on the miniature. So yeah, in case you're wondering as well, in case it's not blindingly obvious from the outset, here is the miniature that we're going to be painting today. We're also going to finish up last week's, and we'll finally get to have another go at doing some dry brushing, so that we can see what that looks like as well. I'll just grab last week's model as well. And in fact, what I'll begin with is doing a little bit of a show off of that model and how it looks now it's all dried with the wash put on it. I'm really happy with it. Definitely does need the old dry brushing now, as the colours are a bit too solid. But yeah, that's how that has sort of come out, and you can really see, like, if we look at the skull, for example, on there, the difference that the dark wash has made to that. Again, with the weapons, it makes them almost look dirtied and like unclean bone and whatnot. And the actual model itself as well, I'm really impressed with how it's come out. The dark wash as well, it's sunk into those areas and patches of skin, just giving it that bit, that sort of, it just makes it seem a little bit more real, a little bit more like alive. The metal as well, like the sort of rusted look on the blade that's on his waist, and then obviously the weapons as well. The hat has done pretty well, but I think the hat and a few other places would benefit a lot from the dry brushing. But what we'll do is we'll just start on the new model today, and when we reach a point, say maybe if we get to dark brushing stage, or just a stage where we need to wait for some of the layers to dry, we'll maybe pop that one out and leave it for a bit and come back to this one, and that's when we'll try and get some of that dry brushing done. But let's just quickly go back to my stream app, so that I can have a little look at what's going on. Okay. Twitch. Right. Oh, we've got some notifications as well. Nice. Switched into creator mode. So weird. Okay, right. So again, I'm trying to keep as much stuff out of frame as I can, but I might move this water in a little bit. For now, we can leave that there. That works nicely. And yeah, we'll sort of have a go with this setup and see how it works. So, might work, might not, might be terrible, might be rubbish. Again, there might be a lot of my forehead appearing. I'll try and remember to tip this down when I'm leaning in so you can see my face still, and it's not just my like massive shiny forehead that you can see. There's a lot of natural light coming into my room as well as artificial lighting. So, unfortunately, my face may not look as beautiful as it usually does, but 'tis the sacrifice that we make for art, is it not? Anyway, let's have a look. Have a lookity do. Awesome. So, where to start then? Right, we'll pop this one out, do another little turn so we can see how that one turned out. Again, we'll come back and do some dry brushing on that in a little bit, just finish it off and hopefully elevate that to what will be the final product, okay? Because you can kind of see, I wonder if I can get it any closer. Let's have a go, shall we? Yeah, we can, that's good. So you can see the colours are a little bit blocky. Just a little bit, not completely. The dry wash has helped a lot, but, sorry, the wash, not the dry wash. I'm combining two techniques there. The wash has helped a bit with that. But the dry brushing is what will really lift it up. We'll get some like lighter browns on those leathery colours, like particularly on the hat, on the fur, should I say, on the fur, and then maybe some darker brown or white on the paler leather bits at the front, like those leather strips with the gold rings on. And that should really make it pop. And then that'll be finished. That'll be done. Okay. So, without further ado, let us move onto this guy. So, we've got ourselves another dwarf. I printed a lot of the dwarves. When they did the month where we got dwarves, I printed a lot of them out. We have a little turn around of this figure so we can see what we've got going on. So much of his face is hidden under his hood, but he's got a big, bushy braided beard that sticks out, as well as his hair going up the sides there. The base itself, I believe there's a helmet at his feet as well. He's got some more, like those other dwarves that we've done, he's got those sort of runic symbols going on his waist. He's holding a hammer, he's got some armor, some gauntlets and stuff, so we're going to be working with some of the metallic paints again. And then a big old cloak at the back as well. So I've got a rough idea of a colour scheme in my head that I'm going to try. Hopefully it will work, but only time will tell. As ever with these things, you know, I don't go away. I prefer these to be as sort of natural as possible. So, and what I mean by that is I don't spend heaps of time thinking about it beforehand. So I've not sat and planned out or come up with a colour scheme. I mean, I've got like 2 or 3 colours in mind for this. I've not thought about it beyond that, and it might not work. And the reason I've not thought about it is because I think that with this kind of thing, it's not about getting it right. It's about trying things out, which is why I don't super plan these, because I want people to be able to watch these and see them and sort of see that, you know, sometimes things won't work out, and that's okay. You know, I've done a couple of these now, and I know that you guys have seen what I can do and also what I can't do. In fact, where my skills drop out. So I know, for example, that, you know, I'm quite lucky. I seem to have, I think, anyway, at least a bit of a talent for it. If we look at like this dude here, see if we can get him in focus. All right. So that one, I'm really proud of how that one turned out when we did that on stream. Right, came out really nicely, really well. You know, I think the color scheme works lovely. However, eyes are my downfall. Eyes are the area that I've got to work on. You'll notice that I've chosen a model this week where I don't have to worry about eyes, because the last time I tried eyes, we got, let's see if we can get it in focus. Hey, look at those eyes. Yeah. So you can see that eyes are my sort of downfall, really. So that's going to be something that I'm working on. Okay. I haven't done as much work as I'd hoped since last time on eyes. And I also have to apologise that I don't know if it's the last week or last 2 weeks that I've not been able to do, but I've had quite a busy couple of weeks, and it's looking like I'm going to have a busy next couple of weeks as well. So the paint stream, I'll try and do it at some point. I might even have to do it on a different day next weekend. It just depends. I'll see what happens. Yeah, so. Oh, sorry, I'm very thirsty today. Without further ado, let's get going. So, first colour that I'm going to add onto here, I think, looking at it, right, so what have we got? He is, I believe, wearing some plated armour. I'm pretty sure that's what's going around his sort of torso, right? If I get a paintbrush and point it out, it might be easier to see. I think this bit here is plate armor. This is the material that comes out the bottom of the plate armor, and then obviously we've got the hood as well. I'm thinking a darker color scheme for this one. We've done bright bronze and silvers, so let's go with something a bit more it's a bit darker, perhaps a bit more sinister almost, but not super sinister. You know, it doesn't look evil. Not that I guess evil has a particular look, but yeah, that's what I'm feeling at the moment. So first things first, do we go metallic, get that on there now? Because we could go for the Dwargar metal. That might actually be quite nice. Which is this colour. Okay. So, shall we do that? Because once we've committed, and we'll just go from there. Ooh, these are decisions. The decisions, because we've got two that are in that same colour scheme of the sort of bronzy gold and the silver, haven't we? We've got those two dwarves there, and this one is a little different. So I'm wondering if maybe we do it a little different as well. But how? How do we make it different? Is it mithril silver or is it going to be Dwargar metal? Those are the decisions. And if it's a mithril silver, I am probably going to darken it with some black. Okay. So I think maybe we should go darkened mithril silver. I'm thinking that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Because we can always use the Dwargar metal for the what's it called? The weapon. Okay. So let's give this a good shakerino. Okay, so get some silver on there. Get started. There we go. Nice healthy dollop there, because we'll no doubt need quite a little bit of this. Let's put the Dwargar metal back, because we don't need that right now. Black, probably, honestly, I reckon I use black more than any other colour. More so for mixing, making colours darker. That's generally what I use the black for, mainly. Or the bases, obviously. Give that a good shake. And let's get some of that on our paint mixer. And now for brush size, what brush do we want to use? How do we want to start this? Okay. And also, what angle do I want to have it at so that I can paint it? So obviously I want you guys to be able to see it, but I also need to be able to see it. And unfortunately, the angles don't quite add up. But that's still, I would say, a pretty good spot to watch from here. And it should work for me pretty nicely as well. Now, I'm going to put a brush aside right now that we're going to use for dry brushing later so that I don't accidentally wet it. In fact, I might put two aside just in case, different sizes. So we have options later on. Yeah, we'll go with this one as well. Okay. Okay, so as ever, wet our brush, which you can see me doing in the background there. Give it a good wet, get those bristles nice and wet. Then wipe off as much of the moisture as you can, just so that those bristles are damp and sort of starting to sort of stick together a little bit. Now, take a big dollop of our silver. Obviously, you guys can't see this, so I'll just describe it. Take a big dollop of our silver, maybe spread it out just a little bit on the palette, and then I'm going to get some black and chuck that in there to bring that silver tone down a little bit. Okay, and that is immediately, I think, a bit of a nicer colour. And let's see, shall we try some of this on straight away, see what it looks like? A little bit much on there, so wipe some of the excess off. Let's see what we can do. We'll just get that done up there. Because I've been so busy as well, I might actually be a little bit out of practice here. Hopefully not, but we'll see, won't we? Which is why if I am, then it just goes to show that practice is a really important part of doing this sort of hobby. You know, those fine motor skills. I've talked about this before. One of the big reasons that I wanted to find a new hobby specifically was to work on my fine motor skills. Because I've got, you know, other hobbies and stuff that I do. Like I go to the gym and things like that, which are really, really beneficial for me personally. Anyway, especially recently, but I'll get onto that a bit later. But there we go, look at that. And you'll see already, I've gone over. I've accidentally given the tip of his beard a bit of a silver paint, but that's fine. Like again, I'm not super duper worried right now because all this can be corrected later on. I think the biggest issue that people run into when they're painting is that feeling of like, oh my god, if I get one bit, it's like what have I described it as before? It's like painting in the lines. So you're not coloring in the lines. If you go over a little bit though, it's not the end of the world. You just wait for the paint to dry and then you put a different color on top. And, you know, nothing to worry about then. So yeah, I quite like that. I like the look of the silver on there, so we'll stick with that silver there. It looks kind of nice. And I think we'll do his arms, because you can see he's got plate on there as well. We'll do those the same. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, and I've mentioned this before, so I do apologise to those of you that are hearing this for like the umpteenth time, but I was looking for a hobby that worked on my fine motor skills. Because I've got hobbies that work on my what's the opposite of fine? Gross motor skills. I have those. Like I said, I go to the gym. I do other stuff as well, but that helps with that. However, I've had nothing beyond my day job, having to write things down and stuff like that, which again I don't even do that much either. Where I'm not practicing those really fine motor controls, which is a key part of like life because it helps with all kinds of things, such as writing. I'm a sloppy writer. Don't get me wrong. Like I was that kid that I'm pretty sure when I was in primary school they actually kicked me off the handwriting club. I never got my handwriting pen or whatever because they were just like, yeah, it's not really working. So you know, no point. Just good luck in the future. Now, my saving grace is that like my grammar, my spelling, my comprehension, etc., is all really high. Like I am good at that. It is just the way it looks that is sloppy. So I can live with that. That's sort of a trade-off that I can live with. It's still not ideal, but so suffice to say though, anything I can do that helps with those finer motor controls. Oop, we've already gone out of focus. I need to. I've said this before, but I basically need to buy some more materials for my printer. I need to print. There's a version of this grip where it doesn't have these bits here, so it's just this middle bit, and I reckon that'll be useful because it often tries to focus, especially when it's at an angle, on the bottom, the actual holder itself, as opposed to the model. Yeah, we're just going to give that a nice little paint. It looks like it wraps around the front as well. So we'll also try and get some paint there as well. Okay. Getting those done, getting that bottom bit done. Right, looks like we've actually got a bit of an excess of paint on there at the moment, so I'm just going to give it a little wipe around, make sure there's not too much. Again, apologies. There we go, that's the one. So sometimes I have to manually focus the camera, etc. Again, this is a work in progress. And if I had more money, I'd have a setup that I knew would work every time. But it is still quite sort of hodgepodge, random, and this, that, and the other. Hopefully, as well, my mission this week is to get a Patreon set up so that if any of my few followers that I have are feeling really, really, really kind and want to try and support me and help me try and take this hobby further, will have an opportunity to help me on that road. So I'm thinking at the moment that's looking okay. I'm happy with that. I like that. Like the way it looks. need to start getting more colours in. Now I'm thinking that we get a red in here, but I cannot decide whether to do this like undercoat bit here, you know, that sticks out from underneath, this sort of fabricy material or whatever, whether to do that in a red, like a crimsony red, maybe darker red colour, or to go ahead and have the actual cloak itself be the dark red. Initially I was going to go with the crimsony, the inside bit being crimsony, but I actually might go for the outside. Now I'm looking at it, now I've seen it with the silver on especially, which means I'm going to reach way over and get my red, which is the furthest away from me. What are the reds we got? We got Cambion Crimson, we got Succubus Red, Cobalt Red. Ooh, let's see what Cobalt Red looks like actually. Kind of is a bit purpley. Ooh, and this paint hasn't been used before, it doesn't have a ball bearing in. So as always, we put a ball bearing in. Because it helps with paint mixing and just makes it easier to use. So it is literally like a tiny little, I don't know if you can even see it, tiny little metal ball bearing, we all know what they are. Lid off of the paint. Drop it inside. Boop. And then that just helps us with the mixing part. It just makes it that little bit easier. There we go. And because it's not been used before, I'm going to give this a really good shake. So, you know. There we go, there we go. Okay. Ooh, this does look like a nice colour, to be fair. So let's pop that aside. We'll keep it out separate though now, so that we know that we're using it. And I'm just going to test, right? I'm going to clean my brush. And on the back, I'm just going to put a tiny little amount of it, so I can see what this looks like on the model. And actually, I quite like that. I quite like the way that that looks. So let's do it. Let's go in for it. This cobalt red color, and already I can tell that we're probably going to need more than one layer of this. But that's fine. I'm also going to switch up brushes now, something a bit thicker, because we've got a bigger surface here to paint onto, so we don't have to worry so much about losing finer detail, because there isn't any to lose. Here, we're just painting the back, so we can get it on nice and thick and nice and quick as well, which will make our job a lot easier. And the sooner we get these big areas painted, the sooner that they can dry, and the sooner we can add those additional layers if we need to. So it is good to do the larger areas first, because they're more likely to be the ones that need touching up and stuff as time goes on. So just getting that first layer on, like I'm not even going for consistency here. I'm just going for, get it on and then let it dry. And then we'll see what it looks like after the fact, and we'll go from there. But already, I'm liking the way this looks, and I think when it comes around the front, this sort of deep reddish crimsony colour will contrast nicely with the silver. Okay. So already coming around the front here. Nice, and already, it's not dry yet, and it's not even uniformly covered yet, but quite nice. Quite nice, I like it. Get this bit at the front sorted. Over here. Okay. Down there. Might actually need, in saying that, I've just put the finer brush away. Might actually need that more now, because we've got some tiny little areas that I'm going to have to stick the brush through to get to. The small brush, that is, to paint it. Again, I'm going to have to take this off of its base now. And this might be one of those bits where I'll try and find an angle for you, but I cannot promise anything, for it is very, very tiny, some of these areas that I'm having to try and deal with and paint. So it is just a bit tough. I mean, you can see there, I'm just going for this bottom bit in the corner, which I couldn't quite reach with the big brush. It was a bit too big. And just the undersides as well. Okay. Okay. So you can see as well, like, there's clearly some wind because he's got these bits which are like blowing. So it's about working around those really as well. I'm actually already going to need some more cobalt red, so let's get that out now. But I'm already loving this crimsony look. I think we made a good choice here. And it is actually, like, it's opposite the very minute amount of planning that I did, I've already sort of steered away from, but because I think that we've got, you know, an opportunity presented itself, a different colour that we weren't anticipating, that actually I think looks really nice where we're putting it. So I want to make sure that I'm doing it justice. Getting these little bits around here. Apologies again for not doing it. Let's focus you. There we go. That's better. Now you can see the bit I'm doing is just these tiny little bits in here. Getting that, ooh, just in there. Quick little brush there. Brush that up in there. And there we go. Marvellous. So we have gone over, you can see where we've gone over onto the shoulder blade, but not bothered. You know, we can fix it in a bit. Not bothered. Don't even care. Don't even care. And that's the sort of motto that we're going to go with, because it doesn't matter. Well, it's not that we don't care. Okay, I'll change that. It's not that we don't care. It's that this kind of stuff can be fixed. More to the point. Okay. Let's get that nice crimson hood. And this time, the last two dwarves we've done, we've sort of given them, very typically given them ginger hair. So we might go for a more of a brunette look on this guy as well when it comes to doing the hair. But that will be something that comes a lot later, because we've got more stuff to do first. Hair is one of those things that, you know, it is easiest to do it much later on in the process. Right, let's try and get this edge done, and I'm going to swap to my little brush because I can see that doing this last little bit just under the rim of the hood is going to be a bit tricky. So I'm going to try and get a good angle here. Nice. Ooh, this is where it gets a bit, ooh dear. I think, touch wood, we've got that done. Kind of nice. You can see that I have gone over onto his face, but we'll go over that with a sort of pinkish, tannish colour later to match up. Now, I think what we'll do is we'll make that band bit at the back, that might be a black, like this scar, because that's part of this scarf thing, isn't it, that he's wearing? So we might make that a much darker colour compared to it. And I think what we need to do is make those shoulder blades that same metallic colour that we've used for the other armour pieces. So I'm going to do that now as well, because I didn't do that earlier. So let's get that and slap that onto there. Nice and quickly. Get one layer on there. Job's a good one. Nice. Straight away done. Easy peasy. Now this side, again, I got some red on it. Doesn't matter, because now we're going over it in the silver. It's just blocking that red out really nicely. Do that. There we go. So now we got the silver bits there as well. Okay. Now. What next? Whilst we're here, let's have a go at that brown, shall we? We want Minotaur hide. Yeah, we'll go with Minotaur hide. Here. See what it looks like as a beard. We can always mix some black in it. We have got some black on the palette already. Let's put a bit of that brown in. Let's add a little bit of black into it and see what that comes out like. Might work, might look terrible. All part of the process. Scoop that brown. Okay, cool. We've got a nice dark brownish colour there. Let's get some of this now onto that beard. I wouldn't normally do the beard this early, but it's quite prominent on the model. So I want to be visualizing like how the beard will look against the other colours whilst I'm doing it, given its prominence. So again, just trying to get that on. Not worrying about the bands yet, because we'll be going over that in a metallic colour later. Probably gold, because gold looks really good, usually, for like the little more jewellery-based bandy bits. We can go over that silver paint mistake that we did earlier, which we've already going to have to go over the silver again, because now we got brown on it. Do that. Get that on there. That on there. Here we go. Here's the fine detail bit. Is now getting the mustachy bit on. This bit's going to be tricky. I may even need to drop to a smaller brush still. I may not. Just depends on how the coverage goes. Okay. So yeah, we've sort of got that. We've got that sorted now. Okay. Nice. So we got that brown. There's browns in there, which is good. Oh, I think his hair sort of billows around this side a little bit. So I'm also going to just add some more brown just here, because I think that's his hair flowing out the side of his hood and down. This side it's a lot more covered, so it doesn't matter so much, but this side is definitely, don't know if you can see what I'm talking about. I've added paint to it now, but this bit just here, pretty sure it's his hair billowing out the side of it. So we've just added some brown there to help build up that picture. Okay. Now, what colour do we do this bit? The one bit that I'm still toying with. Okay. Perhaps we go for a darker colour. Like an almost black, but not quite. Grey? Oh, maybe not a grey. Grey I don't think would work. Nor would green, I don't think. Blue might, but it's a bit contrasty. That's some of what this is. So you can see now, like now, this is why I didn't plan it. Because now you can see me going through my process of trying to figure out what colour is going to be best suited to this. Okay, so what else shall we add and where? Right, colour on the back is drying nicely. Definitely will need another layer. We could do. Ooh, did I spot a gap then? Yes, I did. Can you see it hiding there? Right, where's the red and where's the small brush? Get some red on there. And let's get into this corner bit just inside of there. Right? And we can get that bit coloured in that we just spotted then. Let's see. We got it? Yes, there we go. Look at that. And on this side as well. We completely forgot to do this bit, didn't we? Let's do this now. Just adding the colour along here on the inside as well. So you have to think about these models in 3 dimensions. You have to think about where you paint. It's not just enough to paint the outside edge. Like, look, you can see. Oh, can you see? Yeah, just there. Just on the inside of here, there's grey, because that is obviously the underside of the jacket, of the cloak that I've missed. So get my paintbrush in there, get painting around there as well, filling in those gaps so that we complete that illusion. It's clear that this is supposed to be like a lived-in jacket, an actual piece of clothing, not just grey resin that's painted, grey cast resin that's painted. Okay, so now I'm going to try. Oh, this is going to be tough with that helmet right in the middle there. Go between his legs to try and nail that bit at the back, bit at the back. Words. Let's see if we can do that. Okay, sorted. All right, bring that into focus. Very nice. Okay, so it looks pretty sloppy right now. You know, nothing is really staying in the lines and stuff, but we're still pretty early days. We've still got a lot more of this model left to paint. So now let's start experimenting with the black, I think. Now we start experimenting with that. What colour? Unless, ooh. Well, do we think a purple would work on the scarf? Or do we stick to a darker colour? That is the question, isn't it? Or a dark brown, perhaps? Purple is perhaps too regal for what we're going for in this model. So let's go for, because it also has sort of studs in it. You can sort of see, I don't know if you can see actually, there's like little studs on each corner, so we can add some metallic to it just to make it pop a little bit more. So I might go with a really dark brownish colour for it, a bit earthier. So what colour am I looking for here? Right, we said no to green, no to blue, no to red, purple. No, say no to purple as well. Yellow might be too much of a contrast again, but we could do the studs in gold, and I think that might look nice. So maybe if we go for a really dark brown, in which case we're going to need, we'll go with owlbear. We'll go with this one. So it's dark from the outset. See what it looks like. See if it works, and then go from there. So give this a good shake, as ever. Really important to shake your paints up, because they're acrylic paints. They have a medium in them that keeps them from setting and stuff, but the medium separates out from the paints. So when you use them, you've got to give them a really good shake. Shake up all that medium, mix it back in as well, and also it's sometimes worth just the first little bit of paint that comes out might be heavily mixed with medium. So it's sometimes worth just maybe discarding that or something whilst you get it sorted. Okay, so let's add some black to this, I think. Make it an even darker colour, like that. And let's see what this looks like, if it works or not. I am thinking more and more dark tones for this model. Okay, quite earthy as well. Not very bright, or rather, the metallic paints are going to be all the brightness that this piece sees. Right, just to punctuate it. And as ever, go look at the underneath. Make sure we paint that up too. Okay, so we can get a complete paint of the model. Oh, I've missed this. Haven't painted anything for a little while, and it is just so relaxing to do. Okay. Therapeutic. Therapeutic is the word that I would say. Okay, so yeah, I'm actually quite happy with how that brown looks. I think it looks nice. Notice I'm trying to I have gone over. I'm not that bothered, but I'm trying to leave that that jewel or whatever it is plain. Let's go around here on this side and see what we can get done. And I think the brown and the dark sort of crimsony red color work nicely together here. Again, like going for these duller colors this time. We've had a lot of bright and shiny. Now we're having a go at making something that is a bit duller. Not necessarily less colorful. You know, I do love this red. But it is different, you know. It's more akin to how we did the goblins, sorry. Right, so again, looking at that, yeah, I like that. I like the way the brown looks, which means that we're going to bring the brown around the back here, because remember, this is the scarf, this is that same bit of scarf. So we'll get a brown on there, cover up the patches of red where we've gone over, and give that a nice lick of brown. Going over in this top bit as well, where we've clearly gone over with the brown paint, and it actually, looking at it now as well from here, see if you guys can see it as well. The back, you can see it actually comes right the way around. It comes right the way around, so we're going to have to get some really fine painting skills in here so that it joins up. Because it doesn't actually get covered by the armor. It goes all the way around. Yeah, and I've already seen a patch where we need some more of the crimson colour. We're going to go around on this side. Now this side does look like it does actually get cut off at one point, so that should be nice and straightforward. And just paint into the corner there, and that should be it done, and then it comes out of here. Nice. Okay. Do this back bit as well. So I've just pulled it away because this is quite a fine part that I'm trying to do. But it will return momentarily. There we go. Okay. So now, got that brown in there sorted. All right. All righty. So again, sliding it round. We got good coverage. And we got those bits that we can put a bit of a brighter colour on. We might make those gold or something like that later, and I think that would just make that pop a little bit more. Okay, so I'm still wondering what we do with those bottom bits. We could just go with the brown again and have that sort of the silver, the brown, and the red, and they will be our three main colours that we use, which I think actually might work quite well. So I'm kind of tempted to just go with it and see what happens. Okay, so let's do it. See how this looks. But I think already after this first little bit, we've made the right choice here. It just played. Now it is going to make it a bit trickier because we're going to be dealing with a lot of browny colours, a lot of earthy colours. So it's going to be really important that we try and get diversity in those browns so that it doesn't all just like look like I've been lazy and just used the same paint over and over again. So we're gonna have to get different shades. So already, hopefully, I'm hoping that you can see that the beard brown is different to the clothes brown, right? And that's intentional. You know, that is because obviously it would be a huge coincidence if his beard hair happened to be the exact same color as like the sort of under tunic or whatever it is that he's wearing here. So, you know, it is good to add. That's why it's always good to mix paints. I would say about 60-40% of the time I am mixing another color into the base paint that I put on the palette. So that I know that if I want to use that color again, it's going to be different, or I can just add another color to it and know that it will be different in each use. Okay. But yeah, that's nice. That's good. All right. We know we got the silver, we got the brown there. Now he has like it's almost like a book, isn't it? In fact, it is a book that he's got. Hang on, let's see if you guys can see this too. He's got a book on looking at it, his left. So just here, this is a book. So that's actually quite interesting because that opens up, you know, how we play with color there. Because the book could be any color. Maybe a green. A green might be a dark green. Might be nice there. Or a blue. I might go blue for the book. For that sort of the book cover, that is, anyway. That might look really nice. He's also got a little potion of something, or perhaps a pouch of money, which I've got a splodge of brown on there, as well as the rune. These are finer details, so typically I won't worry about them. But he also has, obviously, trousers underneath there. Now, the trousers, I am tempted to just go with like a black colour. Nice and easy then, nice and straightforward. And then we might add some crimson. We might make his boots crimson then. Okay. So we need black. Nope, not that one. Where did I put it? Right, here we go. Get our black back. Pop some on there. Put that back over there. Okay. And then, let's see, what else could we... Oh, yeah. So we're going to do... Do I go for a smaller paintbrush here? Or do I tempt fate with this one still? I think I might tempt fate with this one. So let's get the black. Not going to mix it with anything. I think the black might actually just work okay for this. But this is going to be a difficult section to paint. So I'll apologise in advance if the model disappears or goes out of focus. But unfortunately, there does sometimes have to be a sacrifice made for the sake of the model versus you guys that are watching. Again, apologies that my face. I'll lower this down, see if it helps. Apologies that my face sometimes disappears, but it's because I'm dealing with, like, this model stands at about 28 millimeters high, so it's really not very tall. And whilst I've got really, really good eyesight, it's still very small. So there is a level of focus that's required, which means I've got to get my head nice and close to the model to make sure that I'm doing this right, that I'm not screwing it up or missing bits as well. And actually, you know what I might actually do? Oh, tempted to. I think I say this like every time I do one of these. I'm tempted to bring my studio light upstairs because I think that additional light flooding would just help here, especially with doing these trouser bits, which you can barely see and I can barely even reach as well. What with the base, but I can and I am getting there. So let's try and do these inside of here, black color. And let's see if we can get in there as well. Again, apologies, the angle's not going to be super ideal, but this is one of those finer painting moments that takes a little bit of skill and a little bit of focus to get the paint where we want it to be. And more importantly, get it evenly, or as evenly as we can, anyway. You know, it won't always work out. Sometimes I might miss bits, sometimes I might go over, but it's all fine. All fine. All stuff that we can rectify further down the line if we need to. Okay. So we can actually see already this guy is coming on quite nicely, I would say, given where we were at the start point. And we've got a lot of stuff that we've added. We've got a lot of colours that we've put in there. We're just going for these black pants that, as I say again, trying to get as finer details we can in there. And this is only a minor bit really that we're doing now. But if we get it done now, we don't have to worry about it later, because this is going to be one of the bits that isn't really seen. And so long as you get the idea, you can actually probably get away with doing only an okay job, if that makes sense. Okay, so I think that's done. So we'll give that a minute to dry, and then we'll come back and do the boots in crimson as well, so it matches with the cloak. Okay. Right, so we have a go at that book. We'll do the book and then maybe the weapon, I reckon. Or do we go book, skin, then weapon? Or book, weapon, and skin? These are the questions. Right, I am going to go with the blue. I like the idea of a blue. What kind of blue do I want it to be? I found there's an underdark indigo that looks quite nice. And lich blue. Ooh, lich blue is quite nice as well. Neither have ever been used before. So we get a ball bearing. Get a little ball bearing and pop this. You can see it there. Pop this in the paint because it will help with the mixing process. It just makes it that little bit easier. You know, let's pop this back up again as I'm not looking down at the moment. Pop that on there. You know, these are really the little droppers. You know, all you do is you pull the little drop. I don't think I've ever actually done this on camera, you know. I've just always done it off camera and described it. But yeah, the little popper bit just comes out of there. You take your ball bearing and you drop it in. Oh, and I just knocked the whole camera rig. Whoops. There we go. That's fine. Drop it back in. Lid back on. You hear that? Just makes it that much easier and that much quicker, might I add, to paint. Okay, so let's get that. Give it a good shake. Nice. Get some of this blue out, see what it looks like. Straight away, it's quite a bright colour, right? You guys can, I suppose if I show you the actual paint, you can see that's quite bright. So first thing that we're going to do, and this is sort of why, you know, I was saying that black is one of my most used colours, if not my most used, because the simplest thing to do is put a drop of black in it. Put a drop of black in it, and then suddenly the colour's been brought down. We've actually already got some black on there. On the palette, that is. So I'm just going to go straight ahead, grab that black, mix it in with the blue, and yeah, straight away we've brought that tone way down. Possibly even too much. We'll have to have a look. Let's see what this looks like on here. Alright. Again, we're dealing with quite fine detail here. So a little bit of focus is required here. Trying to do it in a way that you guys can see what I'm doing. It's actually quite straightforward. Because we just want the outside of the one. We can go over those little lines. It's clearly that he's got there's like leather strips or binding or whatever over the book that's keeping it on his waist. So we'll go over that. We'll put some skeleton bone white on the inside as well, which I'm trying to avoid. Now the bit that's scaring me, and I'm gonna have to get like the where's the teeny tiny brush? Gosh, teeny tiny brush time. To try and get, can you see that bottom, like the other side of it? The bit of the cover that's pressed into his leg, we can just see like a tiny bit of that. So it's going to be me trying very carefully, if I can, get that bit coloured. And this is going to be tough. It's going to be tricky. But we'll see. You know, we'll see how this goes. Oh, goodness, that's so slight. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Done it. And kept the actual pages grey. Now, you know, the bit that is going to be really tricky is this underside bit, but not many people are going to be looking there. So I'm not going to try really, really mega hard to stick within those lines there, because so long as looking at it from this angle it looks fine, I'm happy. But I like the blue there. I think that blue really works well and nicely with this model as a whole. Okay, let's just bring that back into focus. Look at that. There we go. Very nice. Very nice. I'm pleased with that. Happy with how that's going. Bring you back into focus again. There we go. Look at that. Nice. Nice. Okay, so that's that bit done. We'll leave that to dry for a little bit before we come back to it. Now, weapon or skin next? Well, for the weapon handle itself, let's go the weapon first. Because I've just seen, like, the handle itself, we can reuse some of that brown that we used earlier, okay, on here. I think that'll be fine. All right, so we'll just get that brown around there. Okay, just making sure that we're getting both sides, getting good coverage on both sides as well. Tipping up the model so that we can sort of get a good glance underneath, and we can make sure that we're just covering all those bits. Bits at the top. So again, I've been a bit sloppy. You can see that I've managed to splash. I was a bit I sort of glanced away as I was doing that then. Don't know why. So I'm actually going to get, for a change, a little bit of this and just douse off that excess paint that I got onto there. So make it easy to go over later. But we've got a handle there now. A nice handle. So let's stick you there. Now, I reckon that we go with a Dwarf metal for this bit here, which is a difference. It's a metallic paint still, but that's what we'll use for the main part of the metal on this. Give it a good shake up. Get a splodge of it out. And then, actually, I'm wondering if maybe we do the middle bit, this Dwarf metal colour, and then we can do the fine inlay stuff on it in a brighter colour. And then the actual sort of hammery bit, you'll see what I mean, we'll do that a silvery colour, maybe. So we're just going to get that over here. And like I said, we'll leave that dot in the middle. That colour, so you can see that, that's what that's going to look like eventually anyway, once it's done. And do that. Dab some of that excess off so we don't lose that detail that we're going to be painting onto later on. Yeah, just dab that up like that. And then we've got to do the underside here. The underside, I don't know if you can see, let's see if we can get it focused. There we go. The underside of it there, which I'm going to just do quickly. It shouldn't take long. I'm not going to take loads of time on that side because it's not really going to be seen all that much. We've just got to do that. Okay. And that again, now I'm just trying to get these really, really, really fine detail bits. They're a bit trickier to get done. I think make sure we get this edge as well. Just get that edge there. Separate, that will separate the sort of two types of metal. That makes sense. Again, doesn't super matter that I've gone over it. because we will be going over it in a paler colour later, and it shouldn't matter that much. Yeah, we've got a good start on that weapon though now. Okay. And then we can actually even... Let's go for something really bright, like the actual mithril silver, which is the lightest metallic paint that I've actually got to use. Let's see what that looks like on there. Yes, let's get a little drop of you. That is going to be bright. We'll actually leave it a minute though, just for some of that metallic paint that's on there now to set a little bit. And what we'll do is we'll quickly paint the feet. Quickly paint the feet. Again, that lovely reddish colour. I've got way too much paint on my brush there. There we go. And again, I'm not worrying about the base here. Like if I get some on the base, cool. The base, do it last. That's the way I do it. I find it easier to do. And it also gives you more of an opportunity to play with the colours. Because if you get it on the base, that's fine. We're going to wash the base with something, like some sort of colour anyway. So it's not the most important thing in the world if we get it, or not the worst thing in the world, should I say, if we get it wrong here. And some of those colours run into the base. Because we'll fix it. We've got time still. Loads and loads of time. Dip it in again. Apologies, we're moving out of focus a little bit there. Nice. Right, and we've got a tricky bit here where we've sort of got to jam it through a tiny gap and just wiggle our brush a little bit. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. I'm just wiggling it to colour this bit down here that is otherwise very difficult to get to. But there we go. We've now got his feet in the red as well, which I think looks pretty nice. Go back over. We'll use this as an opportunity to go back over some bits as well, as I do think this needs a second layer. So let's just start applying that now as we can. Just going to make it come out and pop out even stronger. Okay, which is what we want. We want this stronger crimson colour to really come through. The stronger it is, the more it will contrast, and the more it contrasts, the better it will look. So that's what the focus is right now. Getting all those bits and bobs. Mustn't forget to go around the front as well, because otherwise we'll end up with like the sort of cloak being different colours in different places, which we really don't want. We want a nice even spread of colour. Now we're into these finer details, which are like along here, just on the inside of the coat as well. Trying to get as much of that painted as we can. Just like so. Oh, we're out of focus again. There we go. We're just doing this inside bit of the jacket here. It looks like we actually missed some of it earlier. It's a good thing that we're going over this now. Like so. And then, of course, the hood. You know, we can't forget that either. Let's get that hood done with another layer of this crimson paint. that it just pops a little bit more when we're looking at it. All right, looking good, looking good. At this point as well, I am going to touch up some of the other areas where we've gone over, so I'm going to get some of this dark brown again, just go over there where we've clipped it with some of the red, give it a, just really generally give it a second layer, to be honest. Just to cover up some of our mistakes from earlier. But you can see how easy it is to do, to just cover it up, you know, those mistakes. That's sorted, done, don't need to worry about it. Now we can actually look to add silver to the hammer and see how this looks. We've got a really bright silvery colour to really contrast with the Dwarf metal. Yeah, we'll see how this looks, if it works or not. Though straight away, I do actually quite like it. I am a fan of this silvery colour. I think we've chosen right to make it bright. It makes it more visually interesting to look at. Now, we'll clean up some of the detail later. Right now, it's about getting those layers on so we can get a sense for what the whole model is going to look like. And we'll clean it up afterwards. That along there. That along there. And this along here. Okay. So there we can see we've got our bright silvery colour on there now, and I quite like that. Because again, it's different to the armour and it's different to the actual the sort of bulk of the hammer itself. But it still looks good, I think. Looks nice like that. I'll add on. I mean, I wasn't planning on doing this till later, but I don't see why we can't do it now. So where is the gold? Where is the gold? Here it is. We'll do those like gold rings and the gold dots just so that we can sort of, again, get an idea of what those highlights look like when they're done. They'll be done sort of quickly now, and we'll come back to them later, probably. Okay, so let's give that a good shakerino. Give this gold. It's a really nice colour, this. It looks good on pretty much everything you put it on. Okay, so got that gold on there. We want the teeny tiny brush, I think. For this. Right, so here, I'm going to try and do these bits. Again, doesn't matter. We accidentally go into the hair. We can easily fix that later. But straight away, like it's not even in focus, but you can see where the gold is, right? Look at that. Straight away makes a difference. Yeah. Put that across there. That across there. Just being as delicate as I can sort of manage right now. This, my finest brush, unfortunately, you can sort of see the brush itself is actually bent, so it's extra difficult to paint with, but not impossible. And that's the main thing. Still does the job, even if it is a bit tricky to do. Again, just makes that pop, doesn't it? And then we'll see what it looks like as well. We add a little bit of gold onto here and here. Okay, so we put the gold on there, and look at that. Straight away, it's popping. It's popping nicely. That. I think that looks really nice. We're not even finished yet either. Still got loads to do. And actually, oh, shall we go extra cheeky and we'll make the dot on the top of the hammer gold? There we go. Look at that. And you can straight away see how the gold has really brought out a lot of that like detail and stuff. It just ties it all in nicely, doesn't it? And I think with the colour scheme that we've gone for, it works pretty well. I'm going to get that skeleton bone colour, which is another favourite of mine. Give it a good old shake up. There we go, bringing it back into focus. I do think we do need some more light. It's not as bright as I thought it was in here. So I'll probably go for a break in a little bit, just to nip to the loo and stuff. And then I'll maybe try and quickly set up a studio light in the break as well. So we've got some extra light in here, which I think would make it just a bit easier for myself and more importantly, you all to see what I'm doing. So with this white, very, very simply, I'm going to go down there, and you can see already that we have gone over the lines, but it doesn't matter too much. We just needed to do that so that it looks like it's paper inside. That's really the only reason that we need to add this. Once it's on, which it is now, done with it. Right, and we'll tidy up those edges in a bit again. Again, just getting in some of that finer detail. Now, another place that we could put the light silver this time would be on that rune, I think. So again, get a little bit of that bright silvery colour, and let's just plop it across the rune. And then what I'm going to do, because it's actually filled in the symbol, get a tiny little point of tissue paper, you know, good old tissue paper, and just soak some of that up. Or dab it, should I say. Give it a little dab. And there we go. Now we've still got the definition of that rune on there as well. But we've also got a colour on there, which is good. Right, next colour to add. I'm thinking it's probably, also waiting for other bits to dry, going to be skin colour. So as ever, I'm a massive fan of, what's it called? We've got fair skin, but there's like a tanned skin colour. It was sturge tan. Ruddy skin, that was it. Ruddy skin seems to be quite a nice one, especially for those of the dwarven persuasion. So we'll give it a shake. Give it a little shakey wakey. Let's just bring that into, I think the camera, I think it's the light levels, honestly. I do think it's the light levels as to why the camera is not focusing as well. There we go, if we bring it closer, that's focused a lot better. Let's get some of this ruddy skin on there. I think the skin is actually good to use plain and straight on there. Now we'll go for our medium brush. We'll go for our medium brush with this. I mean, obviously, the easiest spot to paint first is obviously going to be this hand up here. Let's just get that on there. Remember, we can wipe excess off. And any that goes over the lines, again, don't need to worry about right now. We'll fix it later when we touch up the other colours. Now, it's just about getting that first layer of pink on there. Okay, so let's do that. Try and get these little bits here. So just starting to go underneath it. Sorted. And done. We got one hand done. We'll do the other hand on there. And the dark wash will drag this tone down. So it might look like it stands out a bit right now, but trust me, the dark wash will do work miracles on this flesh tone that we've got here. Again, being sure to get all the fingers as they curve around the hammer, which is, again, is quite difficult to do, and it's difficult to see as well what you are doing. So it's just about taking some care as you go. Right, so there we go, that's that hand done as well. We've also tried to get the thumb to join up underneath here. And we've got a little bit of plain palm just there that we can add a tiny, tiny little bit more of this to. Plain palm up there. And now I'm going for the face. Tricky bit. But it's actually going all right. You're inevitably, we're going to have to get the smaller brush for this bit. Inevitably, you are going to smudge some here because it's hard to do it because it's like you're painting inside of something, almost. Let's go for that middle bit here. Get that flesh tone around the mouth. There we go, like that. Okay. Then we can go back over the beard, of course, in more detail in a little bit. But now we've got skin color on the exposed skin areas, which is good. It's a good place to be. Okay. Because then we can start going over. So you can see that I've gone over onto the beard and stuff. But again, that's fine. That's stuff that we can work on, stuff that we can add to. And now might be a good point to try and do that. So let's do the silver first. So by silver, I mean the armor. The armor that we did earlier. The first thing that we put on this guy, because we have accidentally gone over in several places with the armor, with other colors, that is. So now is the time to fix that up. Getting this underneath bit along here. Done good and proper. I think I'm accidentally adding too much into the back line, and that's why it's also not focusing properly. But that and the light levels, the camera's struggling a little bit, I think. Cool, so that's that done. See if we can do these bits again. Just making sure the flesh tone isn't coating any of the armor bands. So it's nice and uniform. And not splashy at all. Also gives us an opportunity to go over this tone again. And more layers is usually more good. So you can just see me going through these bits again. Seeing where, like, for example, some of that crimson colour has overlapped and just giving it a new lick of paint to counter that. We'll do the same one this time where the brown has overlapped. New lick of paint. Excellent. Can even grab some more of that brown because I can see where we've gone over it here. We've accidentally pulled that in. A second coating of brown is never going to hurt. It's only going to help. Now we can take some of that lighter brown and go back over the beard now, because there are bits where we've gone over the gold again, or rather smudged the gold, I guess is the phrase that I'm looking for, and we can see where, you know, we got that flesh tone a bit too high. There we go, like so. Freshen that up. Get these corner bits. And then finally do this bottom bit again. Like so. These bottom bits, I can see little bits of silver on them. Do that again, and that just helps. That just helps. Right, we can let that dry again. Now, we've also got either a potion or a pouch. I'm tempted to go with a pouch. What we'll do is we'll actually get a little bit of white, and we'll use some of that paler brown colour that we've already used on the beard and just make a paler brown sort of pouch hanging off his side there. And that bit will be sorted. Get our white. Drop a white on there. Medium brush again. Mix some of that white in. And let's see what that looks like on there. There we go. We've gone over slightly, but we'll touch that up in a minute. What we can also touch up now is the blue as well. Now this might be a bit tricky. We're going to have to go for a teeny tiny brush here to touch up where we went over in the skeleton bone. So just really, really carefully now. Oof. Gosh, this is tough. That bit there, like that. And then from the underneath. There we go. And then whilst we're here, just add an extra layer on there. as well. Like that. And we can see we've now actually gone over with the blue. So sometimes you'll find when you're painting that you're sort of, what's the word? Like sort of bungee jumping. That's not the word I was looking, that's not the phrase I was looking for, but you're yo-yoing. That's, you're sort of yo-yoing between, oh, I've gone over with this colour now the other colour I'm going to go over it with. Oh, I've gone over it with the other colour, now I'm going to go over it with this colour. But that's just part of the process. And so long as you're patient, it doesn't really matter. It's just, you know, think of it as extra practice, you know, working again on those fine motor skills. And speaking of, we're now going to go back to the metal hammer. I'm going to try and go over these edge parts again. Where I think it's needed. But it's mostly fine, to be honest. I actually am quite pleased with how it went. Yeah, that's all right. It's just the silver, I think, that we need to go over with now. There's a bit of brown as well that I think we can add here. Specifically where his beard meets his mouth. We're going to need to get... What brown were we using? It was the Minotaur hide, wasn't it? Because we mixed our Minotaur hide with white, so we just need to get another little dot of it. And then go over that tiny little bit we had before. Tiny, tiny, tiny. I've made a mistake. I used the wrong colour. That's fine. Just need to get another tiny little bit of kitchen roll and dab it out. Whilst it's still wet. And it shouldn't really make a difference then. There we go. You can hardly even tell now that I just popped that incorrect colour of paint on there. All right. So at this point, I'm thinking, see what we can do with the skeleton paint now, the skeleton bone. Literally the tiniest amount of that. Here we go. This is going to be a tricky bit. This is going to be a tricky bit. That's literally all I wanted to do, is get that relatively straight, as straight as we can, along there and along that bottom bit there, so that we can really get a sense that it is a book there. I think that's gone well. Yeah, I think that has gone pretty well. Right, so next on the agenda is probably going to be a hammer. I think. Go back to medium, and then we want a bright mithril silver colour. Tiny little bit in there. And we're just going to try and correct some of the mistakes that we made earlier. That's all we're going to be doing here. So pulling nice straight lines across there. And basically just along each edge. Just done that silver hammer there. And we might even... Oh, I wonder if we can do this. Let's get a slightly different brush size here. Small, still really small. It's like the second smallest brush I've got, I think. And I'm going to try really hard here and get some fine detail in on this by just giving a really small amount of putting a really teeny tiny amount of gold on the sides of the hammer here, on this sort of crest bit that we've got, and that hopefully should just make that pop a little bit more, and I think it is. That looks nice with that little bit of gold and that bit of gold on there. Now the real question is doing it on the other side. Now this bit I'm going to have to apologize. I'm going to have to bring this right up to my eyes to get this on the other side done. And then what I might do is have a little 5-10 minute break, set up whilst I set up that other light. Okay, so we just get that detail on the hammer there. All right. Nice. So we're making some good progress on the model so far. I'm pleased with how it's going, how it's looking. I'm happy to give that a break there because I'd like a drink and some other things. So on that, guys, we will... Oh, actually, I don't think we don't have the studio, we don't have the stream stuff in it. So we'll go into the break. Where is the break stream? Break. So, right, guys. I will speak to you in a little bit. Get the stream music up. Hello, hello, and welcome back. Now, as you can probably see, I've got a studio light behind me now, and that has actually greatly helped with light levels in general, I think. And hopefully, this camera won't have such a struggle trying to keep things in shot. And also, it'll be easier for me, just generally, just being able to see what I'm painting a bit clearer. Okay, so this is where we are at so far. I think it's looking pretty nice. I'm going to go through, because can you see just underneath the hood where I've got the flesh tone on the crimson hood. So I'm going to go over that again and sort of rectify that. We'll also do a little bit more work on the belt, I think, because we've sort of neglected that a little bit. Before we move on to the base and the dark wash. Then, whilst that dark wash is going, we'll finish up, because the dark wash does take quite a while to dry. We'll finish up by trying to do some dry brushing on our model from last week. So, okay. Belt. I think we go for a nice dark colour for that. So let's grab this brush here. Do this, get a nice dark brown on there. And go for that, just in there. Just to colour that belt. That's looking good. That's looking nice. And there's one bit that's really annoying me. There's a tiny little bit of white of the skeleton bone paint that has creeped into where the blue should be. There we go. Fixed it. That was really bothering me. It kept drawing my eye to it, but I think I've got it now. Almost. Right, what are we looking for? Okay. Starting right back in there. Next, I'm going to take that dark brown colour. Or even, let's go with the paler one, actually. Let's go with the paler one. And those little X's, or rather the X of sort of what I'm assuming is like leather strip. I'm not 100% certain though. Along here. So I think is where it sort of clips to the belt. It's like what's holding the book. That makes sense. I need some more of this. That bit there. And that bit along there. Okay. So then straight away, we're adding in some of those finer details onto the book. It's not perfect. We'll definitely need to go over the blue again. But it's good enough for me now to give us an idea of where we're at. Let's just get a little bit more in there. Sorted. Okay. That's that book mostly done. Now, what else needs doing? I know. Put that aside again. Take you. What I'm going to do is similar to the other thing, to what we've just done. A little bit of this. Just at the top there. Likewise there as well, which is where it's sort of holding onto that rune. And then it just sort of nicely looks like there's actually stuff on the belt, you know, without it sort of having been, I guess, made to be there. Or rather lazily put there, I guess, is what I'm looking for. That's looking nice, looking good. I do think we need to go with that silver. I just can't quite get it right, the match up with the silver and the Dwarf metal along this edge here. Perhaps that right there, what we just did, perhaps that was it though. Just need the extra little bits going round. And then we can finish those off again with the other colour, if need be. All right. So, go over these bits around. And this is because we're starting to approach the bit where we're probably going to start the base in a minute. I just want to make sure that I'm not. Now is the time to go over and really have a good look and scan for any areas that might need you to go over it, where you've not stuck in the lines, all that kind of thing. Now is the time to be doing that. Now that we're approaching that stage where we are going to be shifting focus from the model to the base. Straight away, let's get that bit under there. And there, that colour. Now what we want is the brown for these inner elbow bits. Now this is going to be really, this might be tricky for you to, oh no, you can see it. You can see that bit between the gauntlet on his right arm and the cloak, right? That's the bit that I'm trying to paint right now in a brownish colour that matches his undergarment sort of colour, bit that sticks out from the bottom of his torso. Just through there, like that, and now down here. Okay, I think that's that done as well. That was pretty straightforward, actually. One thing I have noticed, though, is we need to go over in the armor colours again. That nice greyish silver that we've got. Just colour over some of those areas that we may have overlapped a little bit. Right, just down there. Lovely. And we nearly forgot the hood, didn't we? That is what we're looking for now, is the hood, the inside of the hood. So let's do that. Okay. some of that crimson. There. There we go. I think we've got much of that hood. Sorry, I might have done some of that off camera. But again, dealing with finer details, but that's already looking a lot better, I think. Yeah, let's just change that light so that it's shining in a lot more, so we can really see and focus in on what it is that we are doing. I'm going to go over some of the torso again. Again, and that really nice silvery metallic colour that we've got. Right, and what we will also do now, just to get it out of the way, is we're going to paint this helmet that's at his feet. Needs doing. May as well do it now. It's just going to make it easier later when we're actually doing the base. And again, you can see me sticking the brush underneath his legs, try and get that back bit, just looking for any angle that I can sort of approach from. Like so, look at that. Right, so that's the helmet at his feet done. We can also going over a couple of these little spots that are sneaky hiding from us, I think. Seeing a spot where some crimson needs to go. Just along there. Just cleaning up a lot of these edges. Okay, I'm just having a good old look at it. We can do that together, can't we? We'll have a good old looky look. Okay. And see how we're doing. So we're going to do a little spin of this as it is. I can already see there's a spot on that underarm that needs, on the left arm with the hammer, that needs some work doing. Going around though, we're looking pretty good, pretty in the lines for a lot of it. Maybe just need to touch up that right arm as well at the back and the bottom of the cape. Go around, touch up the gold, and I think we're ready to move on to the base and then the wash. So, first bit I said was that bit just under the arm, wasn't it? Crimson bit under the arm, which looks like it needs a bit more crimson. There we go. Yeah, I think that's that done. Literally just a tiny little touch up that it needed. Bottom of the cape. I believe that's that done as well. And then there's this bit at the back of this arm as well. So where was it? It was here. And what does it want to be? It wants to be brown. That's what we were doing it in. Yeah, I love that lovely nice brown colour that we made. Just make sure we've got that running under there. We smudged a bit. Wipe off the excess. Wipe off the water excess from the brush. Get our lovely silvery armour colour. And just touch it up along there. Okay? Nice. Good. Looking good. Now, gold. Back to the gold. Only want to be making here some tiny, tiny little adjustments. Because really, we just want to make sure that we've covered all of the bit that's supposed to be gold. And these bits in the middle as well. Just go over them again. And this is stuff as well that we'll probably touch up after the dark wash anyway. But you'll see what I mean by that on the other model when we come back to doing it. We're going to make some touch-ups on it. I think it needs them. Again, just doing these really fine bits. We're going to have to go over the beard again. But in the grand scheme of things, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so we got that done again. Now for some more of this brown. I'm going quiet because this is quite fine, this bit. Quite fine indeed. It just takes that extra bit of concentration to make sure that we're doing it justice, that we're getting it right. Now we moved over, the gold went over a little bit on the hammer earlier. So we want a tiny little bit of that Dwarf paint. Just patch that up there. And we'll get off the excess and wipe that in the area around, like so. Okay. Nice. Again, coming along pretty nicely, I would say. We definitely need, should I say, more of the armor color, which we've still got a decent amount of, so we can still do touches up all the way through this. Just on there, and just around there maybe. Just spilt a bit of water. We didn't wipe all of the excess off our brush. We'll just get that off there, and we should be fine. That's not going to run at all, and that's the main thing. Right. Next, then, I think what we're going to be looking at doing is probably the base. So, what do we normally use? We normally get a bit of the old. Let's go with Feywild Emerald Green this time. Get a ball bearing, we've not used it before. Again, popping the top out, popping that in, popping that back in, and there we go. Whoop. Don't chuck it everywhere. Give that a shake, and then we're ready to sort of start moving on to the base. And what I'm going to be doing with the green is just getting a little bit of a mossy look, hopefully anyway, on the bottom there, before we really start to colour it in. Okay. Right, so put the green out onto our pad, onto our palette, should I say. We want to mix that with a darker colour for sure. So I'll be mixing up some black, some green here, maybe some of that. Ooh. Bit of an interesting colour, that one. I quite like it. So here, we're just going to dab on really, really, really small amounts of like patches of green around here. It does look almost bluish, but I quite like it. Just some little bits around there. Maybe even up here as well. Along there, maybe. Yeah. Then we're going to want Dungeon Stone. And paint over some of that, like so. Also leave some of that in. Just try and eliminate some of the smudges that we made earlier. Like I said, it really doesn't matter too much about the bits that we've gone over, because it will just look better by the end anyway, because of the dry brushing and stuff that we'll do on the base, which we'll see on the other model shortly. Get that on there. We probably want to get some browns on there, some like mud sort of like dirt mud looking colours. So we'll get some brown. Make sure our paintbrush is nice and dry. Get some of that. A bit on in there. Okay. Dab some on over here. Maybe some on this bit here. And this bit here at the front. Let's go for that as well. I think that would be nice and beneficial for us to do. Get in those sort of dirtier brown marks, like it's a bit dirty, like something has happened, etc. And then we'll get our thicker brush. Where did we put it? It's over here. We get a thicker brush, we'll get a black, and we'll do the actual base now as well, the actual sort of bit around the edge. So giving the black a good shake up. Getting it on there. I want a nice healthy dollop, because there's always more than you think that you need to do here. Right, and we're going to pop him out so that we can get the black on there. So first things first, get your thick brush. Where's my thick brush? Here it is. First things first, let's get a load of black on that bottom. Just liberally chucking it all over the bottom. Getting that done. Nice. Sorted. Okay. Now, this is where it can get difficult. Now I'm going to pop that on there and balance it rather precariously as I try and paint this without blocking it, without smudging paint on my hands all over the model. Okay. Move that around. More paint. Fresh paint. Along there. We get a nice and clear border. Black is the easiest color to use because it's just generic. I like the way it makes them look, but you can use any color. Like, you don't have to use black like me. You really can use whatever color you like for this bit. I just think the black looks smart. That's my main thinking for it, really. There we go. Right, make sure my hands are free of any wet paint so that I can handle the miniature without ruining the miniature. Sorry, this is off camera. I'm just touching up some bits and then we'll be right back on. Sorted. Pop that in there. Right, and then let's have a look, shall we? So there we go. He is looking pretty good. The gold, I think the gold on that hammer really works nicely as well, if I do say so myself. I wonder if it'll actually look better now with less light now. No. So we got the gold there. We got that crimson look. The arm looks nice. Do you know what I am contemplating though? Do we add a rim? Do you know, like we did to the others? We had like around the edge of the plate armor, there was like the gold. In fact, I think it's silver on the others. Do we do the inverse now and put gold outline on the outside of it? Because I'm thinking that we might. I mean, it won't hurt to try. So let's give it a go, shall we? See what it looks like. Might not work. But we don't know unless we try these things. And it might just be what this model needs to really kick it up a notch. So load ourselves up with gold. And let's see what happens. And straight away, I'm happy with this decision. It's a little bit sloppy. And there will need to be some corrections done already. But I think the gold outline here, which is the inverse to what we've done before, is actually looking really smart. Again, I've been quite sloppy there, but when it dries and when we add like another layer or two, I think that'll look really, really, really cool. Let's get a little bit more gold actually, because I have a suspicion that we've got a bit of medium, a bit too much medium anyway, mixed in with that gold, so we'll give it a really, really, really good shake. That looks like it's better. Yeah, much better that. Again, just really delicately. Like so. Look at that, straight away. The difference, that just having that little change there done. Now it's a bit sloppy on one side, but we can fix that up shortly. I think we should maybe do it on the edge of the arm pieces as well, if we can. We are going a bit out of the lines here. But not going to worry, because we can fix it afterwards. Nice. And we'll do the same on this side. We can. This is really fine detail, which is why I keep going quiet for a minute. I've got to really focus. Try and get this just around the edge. Now we are going to need to knit back to our base armor colour. That first solar pad that I made was a bit rubbish. I'm being honest. But it really is no worry. Because as you'll see, I'm just going back over it. Going back over it wherever I need to with the silver. So that it is a nice and uniform. It's also okay. Touch that bit up. Apologies, I'm moving it out of shots because I'm trying to get my face nice and close. So you're getting a good shot of my hair on the face cam. For which I apologise, but sometimes you just got to get nice and close. And as I said, this is a work in progress. It's not the most ideal setup and I don't have a ton of space to play with. I just do the best with what I've got. Sweet. Oh, goodness me. Can I get this gold around the very, very rims of the end of the gauntlet bits? Like, see if we can get it to focus here. Like these bits here. Tiniest amount of gold. Ooh. Did we get it? I think we did. It's hard to tell. I'm dealing with such small quantities of paint here. This is a lot more paint. That it's actually pretty difficult to tell. That's definitely on. Very, very definitely on. Here though. bit more of a struggle. Nice. Straight away. I feel like the model just looks a lot neater, a lot stronger now with those golden outlines on the armor. It's really nice like that. And it's usually that's usually all you have to do to just make the piece pop a little bit more is something as simple as adding gold outlines to the edges of the armor. Makes it look smarter, makes it look fancier, gives it more of a mythical feel as well. And we are actually going to mix some more of that metallic paint if we can. Just to, again, go over some of those bits. We might have actually there added a tad too much black to it. So you just change the balance up by adding more silver. Bring the tone back up. Then it needs to come back down with a touch more black, because that's often how these processes go. Is literally bring the tone up, bring the tone down. That is perfect. Exactly the consistency we wanted for the armor. Okay, let's have a little look. So I'm thinking we're actually almost at the point. I know what that is. It's this. Keeps trying to focus on the paint, on the paintbrush end. So if we move that, fingers crossed it sticks like this. Get that nice and zoomed in. Everyone can see what we got here. So we've now got nice gilded edges to our armor plates. Go around there. Which again just makes that pop. Now, there are some areas that I still think could do with just a touch more of the gold. I'm going to go and try and find those places now. And touch them up as appropriate. Making sure that it's equal on both sides as well. So whatever pattern I've done on one side is mirrored on the other. Because wearing odd socks is one thing, wearing odd armor plates is another entirely. Okay. Gold again. This time for that bit there. That bit there. And that bit there. And we've missed a bit along this edge as well. Like so. Okay. That's looking pretty smart now. I'm happy with how that is. So much so, I'm just going to touch up the shoes with a bit more crimson. Literally just a little bit though, just to go around some of these edge bits where I was a bit too zealous with the old stone paint. Nice. So we've got those crimson shoes, another layer on there, which I think is what that needed. Golden edge is done. Just pop some more crimson as well around these edge bits where we've maybe just gone over with the gold accidentally. Tidying up. It's tidying up more than anything. That's what I'm doing right now. Tidying up, ready for the wash. Bit more of our brown from earlier. Putting that around there. And now, dare I say it, I think we might be ready for a wash. So, what wash to go for? This is the question. Think, help if I didn't drop the paint. I'm going to go for our black wash here. I think that's going to serve as well again. So now we want a bigger brush. This one will do nicely. Got our silver back over there. Get our wash ready. And a wash really is just a very, 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 very thin paint. It's almost like, it's like water, honestly, that you just brush over it. And the idea is that it will sink into all the gaps and crevices that are left on the model. And my advice with the wash is just go nuts with it. Don't worry about how much you put in on and where, just get it on. Okay? And let it do its magic. So brush it all over, give it a good brush in. Don't be afraid to keep filling your brush back up with the wash and getting it all over. Right into those nooks and crannies, because it will just sink in, and that is where it works its magic. Okay, once it's sunk in. Okay, so underneath there, and don't forget to do the under bits. Don't just do the bits that you see, do the bits that are between the bits that you can see, or behind the bits that you can see, or underneath the bits that you can see. Because the more that this can sink into areas on your miniature, the more highlights you're going to end up with. And more highlights and more good. So not forgetting the base here. Giving that a good old brush with our dark wash. Around here, brushing the weapon, brushing the face, brushing the actual model itself. Be careful you don't brush too hard though. You don't want to bring up any paint that's maybe not quite set yet, or is just not very thin on that area, because otherwise you'll end up with it all starting to mush together, and you don't want that. I'm getting all sides of the hammer that I can, all sides of that hand, making sure you're getting it on the armor so that it can sink into those cracks and really start to bring it to life. And as ever, do a little dab afterwards to just take off any excess before we let it just do its magic. Put that on there. All right, so that's now our dark wash on there. So all we've got to do now is let that set, let that dry. Yeah. So you're just going to get a little bit more, teeny tiny bit more. So I want to make sure that armor on top here, on here, got enough in it that it really starts to sink in. Making sure it's on the beard as well. A nice healthy amount. There we go. Okay. So that is really most of what we can do with this model for this week, because that's going to take some time to set now and dry, and then we can add some dry brushing to it next week. You can already start to see some of what it will do though when it dries. Like, it just adds different tones to the sort of different materials. Now, we could get really specific and do different kinds of washes for different areas, but you know, I've just sort of done that relatively quickly, to be honest with you. And I think that's fine. So now I'm going to pop this out of here, pop that over down here, let that set. And now what we will do is we are going to move on to, if I can remember where I put it, here it is, last week's, and add in some of those fine last details onto this. So, dry brushing. What's dry brushing? Well, let me tell you. Dry brushing is where we get really small amounts of a paint, and so I'm just looking for one that I've not used that hasn't got stuff smudged in it. So if we get, let's see, Minotaur Hag Brown might be a good one to do here to start with. We've got a couple of brushes here. That one's a good one as well. So I'm not wetting my brushes here. That's the key part of dry brushing, right? Do not wet your brush. Okay, now I'm going to get as much of it off as I can. And then, again, dip it in. I'm going to get this piece of kitchen roll so I can like track a lot easier, because I can see the paint that's coming off of it, what I'm getting off where. And all I'm doing really is just flicking it on where I think it's going to look good. Get some more on, flick it off. No wet brush this time though. Okay, That's the key bit when it comes to doing stuff like this. No wet brush. But look already, can you see the hat? That before was just that dark brown colour, but now we've got like this two-tone effect. Let's see how much focus we can get on this. That's too close. You see the two-tone effect that we've got now? That is the miracle and power of dry brushing. It's just making it a little bit less, the word I used earlier, uniform. Again, adding some of this around. Maybe even get some of that darker brown that we had. Well, and get that on a few bits as well. We can. To just bring out some of that uniformity and give it a bit more personality. So straight away you can see like those leather strips are now got different tones in them, as do the bits of fur, which is nice. And then other things that we can do is if we get our skeleton bone colour, this one's always a good one. Skeleton bone, load that brush up nicely, then get rid of pretty much all of it, or as much of it as we can. All right. And just trying to add like a bit more of a bit more of a dimension, I guess, really, to. Oh, a bit much on the end there. And there, I don't know if you can see, by just doing that, we've added some highlights to it that have immediately made it pop out a little bit more. Yeah, in terms of what's going on. Because the lighter colour sticks to different parts, and so do the darker colours, and you end up with really cool like two-tony effects going on. Which look really nice. And that, see look, we've done that in a few seconds, but already we've knocked that up a couple of notches. Now all I'm going to do to this model is, firstly, go over that gold, those gold rings, to make sure that they pop. And there and there. And there. Again, that's just to help that. straight away. Made it pop even more. The last thing we're going to do on this one as well is we're going to get some glistening blood on those blades. I think we've got a ball bearing in here. We can just try and make this look a little bit more ferocious, can't we? If we get one of these from earlier. And we put some blood. Wipe off some of that. So it looks kind of older. At least on one. And then on here, on there, it just makes him look a little bit more vicious. All right, so then we'll leave that on there, and that should keep its sort of sheen as well. But can you see how just that little bit of dry brushing has really brought out the detail in the figure? Yeah, that has really taken it up a notch. Because now none of the colours are just completely uniform. So the green isn't just green, the brown isn't just brown. And whilst the wash helps us with that, the dry brushing takes it to a whole new level. Just look at the hat. Look at the areas that were before like just fair. Like they just stand out more with the blood on the weapon as well. I think that looks really cool, really neat. So that has now been just elevated and transformed that little bit more, which is really, really good, really nice. Okay. So now you can actually pop that off. I'm just having another little closer look, make sure there isn't anything else that I'm missing. But I'm quite happy with that. I think it looks pretty cool. So yeah, that is that one. Another one finished up there and done. Let's have a little look at this guy who is still drying. We can see. We can also have just a little look at how he's looking as he's drying. Okay, so can you see like on, for example, the arm pieces? Let's see if we can get it to photo. There we go. You can see the lines because that's what the wash does. The wash's role is to sink into the bits that are sometimes a little bit harder to see and just highlight them. Okay, and it's doing a really, really good job of that. It's doing exactly what I'd hoped it would on this model. So we've just got to wait now for the rest of it to dry, and then we'll be able to crack on with that next week. Okay, right. Well, that actually is probably a pretty good time to stop it. Now, I know normally this would go on for another hour, but for whatever reason, we've managed to race through this model today. And I also thought the dry brushing would take a lot longer than it did, but I forgot how quickly it is. It's a very effective tool that you can do like that, and it just makes it pop. Okay, so I am tempted to just sort of to sign off here, I think, because I'm hesitant and reticent to start another piece because I don't want us to be stuck here for ages. I don't know how many pieces of what's the word? How many scenery objects and stuff I've got, because I would paint one of those because they often don't take long, but I'm not sure if I've got any ready to go at the moment. I need to maybe prime some more. So I think I'll go ahead and say that we'll call it here. An hour early, I know, but again, I'm never sure how long the painting sessions are going to take me, which is why sometimes I'll be I know on the first couple I've overrun, but maybe it's just that I'm getting a bit quicker now. I'm getting more used to doing it and the process and stuff. So, I might have to look for more stuff to start planning to doing these. I did think that just getting the start on this one and finishing the other one would take us the full 4 hours, but we've managed to do it in 3. So, we will call it there then. Well, thank you very much for tuning in, guys. I hope you're enjoying your Sundays and there's not too many suffering with the Sunday blues. I hope I've been able to relax you as I've just rabbited on about me painting a miniature. A lot more chill than my other streams, as I'm sure you've seen me get a bit excitable and stuff in those, but I always had this vision that I wanted the painting stream, the Sunday stream, to be a lot more low-key. I might in the future as well look into having some more of the stream music going on in the background just whilst I'm talking, so it's that little bit more relaxing for you to watch as it's happening. Otherwise, though, please, if you're watching it, leave a comment, even if it's just on the VOD, you've not watched it live, that's absolutely fine. Let me know what you think of the camera angles. How often was it blurry? Was it frustrating? Was it not? Or was it okay? Did I do an okay job, etc.? Really appreciate all that feedback. And as for everything else, remember, the world can be a scary place, so make sure that we are kind to one another and look after each other. We need to build each other up, not drag each other down. And on that, I am the Wile Prince. This has been the Wile Prince Paints, and today we have painted a little dwarven fellow. Thank you very much, guys. Tune in next time. Take care, all right? Bye.